welcome to Geography class. In this class we are going to start the new session. Dear cadet, today is the first day to start our geography class. Now you are in 10th standard. In 10th standard we are going to talk and discuss about the major topics which are very important in our day-to-day life. I request you, whatever the point I am going to discuss with you, please copy it down in your notebook. Let's move. First, chapter number 1, Resources and Development. The name of the chapter is Resources and Development. The following topic we are going to discuss in this chapter. First, introduction of this chapter. As the chapter is talking about resources and development, we are going to discuss about what are resources and what is the different strategies we are using to develop them. Second, the definition of resource we are going to discuss in this session. Next, interdependent relationship between the nature, technology and institution. Last, the classification of resources. So the following points we are going to have. First, introduction of this chapter. We will see what are resources, types of resources. We will see their classification of resources and the development. The topic is discussing about this. After that we are going to see about the land resources, the land utilization pattern, soil profile, the conservation of the soil, different types of soil. It's all talking about what we are going to study in this chapter. Next, moving further to see in this today's presentation, these following points are very important. On this topic, which type of question will be there in examination, we will see. So first, moving toward the next slide. So what is resource? So this slide is representing the definition of resource. This definition you have to write in your notebook 5 times and you have to learn it by heart. Just we are going to understand this definition. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable. That can be termed as resource. So cadets, have attention here. When you are studying in 8th standard, you study the definition. Anything which is satisfying our need, that is called as resource. But here the definition is little bit changed. In this definition, the word is here. Everything available which can be used, available here. The next, accessible, within the reach, within the approachable, right? Technologically accessible. Then economically feasible. It can be means to be possible, capable or achievable, we can talk about that. And culturally it is going to be acceptable, that all the people are agreed that to acceptance by the people culturally. I repeat once again, everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, providing which should be technologically accessible. From the technology we can extract the things, we can modify it and so on. Just we can take the example of iron here. So with the help of the technology, the human being extracting the iron from the iron ore, and from economically point of view it is feasible, it is achievable, right, possible, and culturally it is acceptable, the use of iron. And this all together is termed as resources. So I request you, please write this definition in your own word. In that, available, accessible, feasible, and acceptable. These four words should be there. What is the meaning of available? I just stated to you. What is the meaning of accessible within the relation of technology? What is the meaning of feasible within the relation of economically and culturally acceptable? Okay, so by adding this 4 point available, accessible, feasible and acceptable, so that particular thing is going to be termed as resource. You can write this definition in your own word, carrying this 4 major points. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, providing it is technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resources. So here the definition of resources is clear to you. Dear cadet, please make a note of it. There can be 1 marks question for that. Define the term resources. For that point of view, you have to write this definition. After that, the question can be have 1 more question. Define the term resources and classify the resources on the basis of origin, on the basis of like that. Moving further. Next, taking the example, and we are going to discuss about the figure number 1.1, interdependent relationship between the nature, technology and institution. So here you are observing triangle. This triangle is speaking about human being between, right? So by taking human being here, just I am pointing you here, human being, this part is talking about nature, right? This technology, then institution. Okay, so nature, physical environment, technology and institution. This figure is speaking about the interdependent relationship between the nature, technology and institution. So human being interacts with nature with the help of the technology and establish the institution, and after that the different resources are created by human being. So this interdependent relationship between these 3, nature, technology and institution, I hope so it's clear to you. This diagram you have to draw in your notebook. Same it is like that. The interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institution. In the upcoming slide we are going to have more explanation on this. Question can be there for on this particular illustration or from this figure. Describe the interdependent relationship between the nature, technology and institution with the help of example. Okay, I place the example of iron. You can place the example of anything and you can explain it very well. This diagram, please draw it into your notebook and remember the interdependentship between the human being, right? Human being, then how human being is interacting with nature, this arrow is talking about. Then this arrow with the help of technology and establishing the institution, we can speak about organization, firm, company or anything can. Next, the explanation for that part. The process of transformation of things available in our environment involves an interactive relationship between nature. Here we are talking about the process of transformation of the things available in our environment and which is having the interaction between the 3 things. That's the nature, technology and institution. Next, human being interact with the nature through the technology and create institution. For what purpose? To accelerate their economic development. So with this help of this paragraph, it's clear to you about the interdependent relationship between the nature, technology and institution. I repeat once more, the process of transformation of thing available in our environment. Just I place the example of iron, how the human being with the help of technology extracting the iron from the iron ore, and after that how it with the help of this technology interacting with nature using the technology establishing different institution and producing the different goods from iron, and for what purpose? To accelerate the economic development. Next, do you think that the resources are the free gift of the nature as it assumed by many? So here we are talking about resources. So as we have seen that first definition, what is the meaning of resources? So first here, this definition of resources, if we are talking about resources are free gift, so the answer is no. So they are not. Why? The human being is creating it. The resources are a function of human activity because resources are created by the human being. Human beings themselves are the essential component of resources. That's why when you were in 8th standard you studied about the human resource also chapter. When you were in 9th standard you studied about people as a resource in economics. So dear cadet, please make a note of it. The human beings themselves are the essential component of resource. They transform material available in our environment into resource and use them. So the resources can be classified in the following. So what are the following way? We are going to see. So here human being is the very important component here, or essential component we can speak about to develop the resource, to create the resource, or number of the free gift of in nature is available, number of the free things are there used from the nature, modification is there, transformation is there, and that material is going to be converted into a good or a service. Let's see the classified form of the resources. A. On the basis of origin, biotic, abiotic. So here on the basis of origin we are going to see about they are biotic in nature or abiotic in nature. That means they are living or non-living. B. On the basis of exhaustibility, renewable and non-renewable. It can be renewed or it cannot be renewed. Then next, C. On the basis of ownership. It can be on the basis of ownership. It can be individual, community, national and international. So on the basis of status of development, they are potential, developed, stock and reserve. So A, B, C, D. These 4 points are talking about the types of resources. So we are talking here about the types of resources on this basis of origin, how they are originating in biotic or abiotic. On the basis of exhaustibility, they are renewable and they can be non-renewable. On the basis of ownership, it can be individual of someone, only of single person, it may be of community, it may be of nation, it may be of international. On the basis of status of development, potential, developed, stock and reserves. So these 4 points in the upcoming presentation we are going to have the discussion on that, the types of resources. Moving further to see about the classification of resources. So here figure number 1.2, classification of resources. So resources, what are the resources? Already we had discussed. So here we are seeing this flow chart. This flowchart is very important. I request all of you to draw this flowchart in your notebook and please learn it properly. Point number 1, resources. They are classified into two. The first is natural and second one is human. Then the natural, again it is divided into two, renewable and non-renewable. And human being, so human, structures and institution, quantitative and qualitative. So here the point at 2. First here we are seeing the resources. They are natural, they are human, renewable, non-renewable, structures and institutions, and quantity and qualities. Here we are seeing again renewable is divided into two, continuous or flow example is wind and water, where renewable in that they can be renewed. Then the biologically they are the natural, again they are divided into two, natural vegetation, that means forest and wildlife. Non-renewable, in that non-renewable they are recyclable, example metals, they can be recycled. And non-recycled, example fossil fuel. Just we are having the example of coal. If we are going to use the coal and after that it's going to be finished, we cannot recycle it. They are non-recyclable. Here the metal, just iron, after the use of, we can again reuse. It can be recyclable. So the figure number 1.2, the classification of resource is, this slide is presenting the flow chart. You have to draw same in your notebook, and don't be confused on the basis of origin. They are biotic, abiotic, that's the types of resources, and these are the classification of resources. Huge classification of resources. This whole chart, draw it properly in landscape. Next, today's question, which are very important. First we have discussed about the definition of resources. So you have to write that resource definition 5 times in your notebook. After that, you have to write the interdependent relationship between the nature, technology and institution. After that, the process of classification of resources. Then this last one, classification of resources. Two, three important questions already I told. Define the term resources and classify the resources on the basis of origin. This is question number 1. Then question number 2, give the classification of resources. So this whole classification of resources, figure number 1.2, you have to describe it. You can draw it also and then you can explain it. Then describe the interdependent relationship between the nature, technology and institution. That question also you have to write in your notebook. So today I am placing the 5 homework for you. The first homework, the definition of resources, you have to write 5 times. Second, describe the interdependent relationship. Okay, that question. Then you have to draw the diagram which is given in a triangular form. Next, about the classification of the resources. And last, the big illustration, figure number 1.2, the classification of resources. Clear? This diagram you have to draw. Then this diagram you have to draw. So here this definition you have to write 5 times. I hope so all the points are clear to you. Now you are in 10th standard. Please take your study very seriously. If you are facing any doubt and difficulty, please let me know that. And please do the homework, take the photograph, and please send it to me on my personal WhatsApp number. Lastly, I am thanking to each and everyone for watching this video. Thank you to one and all.